try to keep it up, but I have you guys for an hour, I believe, so you're gonna have to get real comfortable. But I promise I won't talk for the whole hour. I just really wanted to be here, tell you a little bit about myself, what I'm doing this year as Miss America, and of course, just really have a conversation. I'll be taking some questions and answers, so I'm really looking forward to having a great discussion and getting to know everyone. But with that being said, I'll go ahead and kind of start off with what I wanted to talk about. So everyone asks me, how long have you really been preparing for Miss America? And I always say, essentially my entire life, because this is really something that you can't prepare for in a year or 2 years. It's something that has been an ongoing process. And so I was born and brought up, I was born in Syracuse, New York. That's originally where my family is from. But I was actually raised in India by my grandparents. So after, shout out! My parents, I have an older sister, and we're only 18 months apart. So my grandparents raised me when I was just a baby. And so I grew up in India for 2 years, and in a place actually called Vijayawada. I know I met some Telugu people today. Shout out. And so then when I came back to Syracuse, the only language I knew was Telugu. And my sister only knew English. So when I came back here, I taught my sister Telugu and she taught me English. And so that's a nice little story and fun fact. But after Syracuse, my family moved to Oklahoma. And I think this was really the first time where I realized or really struggled with my cultural identity. Especially growing up in Oklahoma, I grew up in a very small, predominantly white, conservative town. I was often mistaken for Native American. People always ask me what tribe I was in, and I would say, I don't know. And then also, I had a lot of religious misconceptions thrown at me as well. I remember when I was probably in 3rd grade, I had a student come up to me and said, oh, do you believe in Jesus? And I've grown up in a Hindu household, that's how I was raised. I said, no, I don't believe in Jesus, but I do believe in God. And then he said, well, you're going to hell. And I was like, okay then. And so I remember just all of this continuously followed me. And even so many questions such as what the red dot means, or if I'm going to have an arranged marriage, or if I worship cows, and I'm sure many of you have gotten that, and so many more. The list continues to grow. But this was really the first time that I had been exposed to it. And I think the problem that I had with it was that my family didn't necessarily educate us about who we were, where we came from, and then more importantly than that, our schools and our system that we grew up in didn't really have any sort of diversity programs to form this more inclusive learning environment. And so when I was 10, my family moved to Michigan. And yes, I know, right around the corner. I actually grew up in St. Joseph, Michigan. It's actually right across the lake from Chicago. There used to be like a little snowmobile that would go across in the wintertime, but they stopped doing that because it got really dangerous. But that's a fun fact too. And so I grew up mostly there in St. Joseph, and very similar common misconceptions and stereotypes about the Indian culture followed me there as well. However, that being said, it really was the first time I was able to interact with other Indian people, people who I felt were similar to me. And it was so interesting because I was one of 5 Indian people in my school. One of them was my sister, so really like 3. And I remember the other Indian people that were in my class were kind of shy of their culture. They really never talked about it. We really never took an initiative to educate our peers, our teachers, our school really about our culture and our heritage. And I think thankfully I was really lucky because I did have an older sister, and a way for us to express ourselves was through the art of dance. And every summer growing up, my sister and I would always travel back to India, and we would always, I was classically trained in Bharatanatyam, and so it was really wonderful to learn that. And I remember when I was growing up, I would say, Mom, I really don't want to dance today, and she's like, well, we already paid the dance master, so you have to go. And I did, and I'm very thankful that I did. But every year my school had a variety show, and without fail, my sister and I would always perform an Indian dance because it was so special to us and it meant so much to us and it was really who we were. And that really exposed all of my community to the Indian culture in some sense. And it was a really proud moment because I was really shocked that people were so accepting of it and curious and wanting to learn more. And that's exactly what my platform is cultural competency. And I've been promoting my platform, Celebrating Diversity Through Cultural Competency, for many, many years now. It's not something I just woke up as Miss America and decided to do. And every contestant actually in the Miss America organization is required to have a personal platform, a cause that they champion for their year of service, is what we call it. And so when I went to high school, I continued to do this, and I felt that I was able to really assimilate myself with the American culture. But I remember very well that some of my friends would say, "Oh my goodness, Nina, you're such an Oreo." And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's brown on the outside, white on the inside. And I remember just kind of having a sigh of relief almost, because I was just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I'm accepted, I fit in, regardless of how I look on the outside, they're still considering me one of them. And that's actually a really sad notion, I think, now looking back on it, that I felt that way, because no one should have to feel that way. And so the first time I was really able to just dive right in and completely 100% be myself was when I went to college. And as many of you know, I went to the University of Michigan. Go Blue! And this was the first time I'd ever been in such a huge, diverse population with many, many Indian students like myself who have experienced similar things that I have, and just really getting to know various cultures in the world as well, and having to work with them from an educational standpoint, from a student organizational business standpoint, was really, really what helped me cultivate the skills and tools that were necessary for me to not only do this job, but life in general. And so diving right into the Indian community was one of my favorite things I was able to do in college. But I was also really involved in many different various groups. I was a part of the Greek system. I was also on the Michigan Student Assembly, which is student government. And my platform really started at the University of Michigan. So when I was there, I took the initiative to start a cultural day at a local elementary school in Ann Arbor. And it's very similar to what you guys did today. So to see this here today is absolutely amazing, because I know how many hours it took to plan this and to put this together, and to share this with your community is absolutely incredible. So I just want to give you guys a round of applause for pulling this together. It's amazing. And so after I started this cultural day, I got together every single student organization on campus, every single diverse student organization on campus, and we went to an elementary school and started educating the children. It was very similar to today. Children rotated between classrooms and learned a different dance, a language, tried a different cuisine, and that's what cultural competency really is. It's about engaging our youth with different cultures. It's not simply about opening a discussion about race, because that hasn't necessarily proven to be effective, but when kids are engaged with these hands-on activities, when they're seeing amazing performances like this from cultures around the world, that's what really helps break those stereotypes, break those barriers and molds, and really educate them. And that's what I found has really helped open and establish that line of honest communication. And so after I graduated from University of Michigan, I actually went back to Syracuse and did a post-bac program and started competing for the title of Miss New York. And so this is where the Miss America organization comes into play. I think a lot of people have a very skewed version of what pageants are. And I don't like saying pageant, I like saying competition, because that's what it is. And the Miss America organization is really a scholarship-based organization. We're very driven on scholarship and service. And so right now, I'm in the process of applying to medical school. That is my career dream, I suppose. And I had no means to pay for my education. I really didn't. And so one of the reasons why I started even competing was because this organization is the largest scholarship provider for young women across the country. We make available over $45 million every single year. And so when I started competing, when I had to choose a platform, there was obviously no other platform that I would choose than the one I have now, promoting this cause. And what's really important is the work that I did before Miss America. And like I said, this wasn't something I just woke up and started promoting. It's something that I've been working very closely with for 3 years now. And I started my own organization, Calling All Cultures, and we did various service events, community-based events through the YMCA, YWCA, and launched my campaign that some of you may have seen me hashtagging Circles of Unity. And that's something I started at a local level that I've now been able to take nationally because of the role that I'm in, which has really been amazing because this organization has provided me a megaphone, really, to speak about something that is so important to me. And so when I started competing for Miss New York, I competed for 2 years. I was second runner-up the first year I competed to Mallory Higgins. She won Miss New York that year. And I don't know if any of you follow Miss America, but she actually went on to win Miss America last year. And also representing the state of New York, obviously. And I remember watching Miss America that year when Mallory won. It was about a year ago, actually, in January. And I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I will never win Miss America." And I remember saying, "What are the chances that New York will win twice in a row? That's just really not, probability is not in my favor." And she said, "Well, Nina, why don't you worry about winning Miss New York first, and then you can talk about Miss America." And so I actually went back and competed again for the second time for Miss New York. Spoiler alert, I ended up winning. And was really, truly blessed to walk away with the title of Miss America. And being on the Miss America stage is something that really, truly no one can understand unless you're a state title holder, because they say that it's more likely that your daughter or your son will play in the Super Bowl than it is to have a daughter on the Miss America stage. Because essentially 14,000 young women across the country competed for this job. And to set yourself apart and to be selected to represent all of them, really all young women across America is really amazing. And the reason why I was so set on having this title was to really change the image of who Miss America was today. And for me, Miss America has always been coined and known as the girl next door and the national icon of that symbol. And the girl next door truly is evolving as the diversity in America evolves. She's not who she was 10 years ago, and I truly believe she's not going to be the same person come 10 years down the road. So to finally reach a new demographic of what is representative of America today was my goal, just being on that stage and representing the state of New York. So it was really incredible to have this year. But that's just a little bit about me, my work with the organization. Like I said, I really want this to be a question and answer session so I can get to know you guys. You can ask me anything about what I'm doing, the job, whatever have you. So I'm looking forward to having a great conversation. I think we have some girls in the audience that are helping us out. Yes? So we had a couple people write some questions on some cards earlier today, but we're also going to be taking some questions from the audience. So there's a couple girls walking around with microphones, and we'll be taking questions from the audience. So feel free to raise your hand and ask a question. But we'll go ahead and kick it off with some of the card questions.
So let's start here with Lily Marks. She asked, what are the best perks about being Miss America?
Oh my goodness. I think the best perks, well, this is how I put it. Everyone wants to win Miss America, not everyone wants the job of Miss America. And those are two very separate things. So yes, it's a wonderful, incredible year. You get to meet so many different people, and one day is never like the next, but it is a full-time service job. And so really, it's just been incredible to have the networking opportunities, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
We'll take it into the audience. Jenny, where are you?
Is Jenny? I think she's over on that side. So
over here.
Yeah, she's over there.
Anyone have a question?
Yeah. There we go. Now I can see you guys.
All right.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm wondering, how do you plan on promoting your platform once you've entered medical school and possibly gotten a job as a nurse or doctor?
Well, one of the things I really experienced is the importance of cultural competency, even within the medical field. I think having an understanding of various cultures, especially from a medical standpoint, there are certain customs and traditions that are so important to people based on their ethnicity. And as a physician, it's our job, it's really our job to be aware of those and understand those to provide the best form of healthcare for the patient. And I think that's definitely evolving. It's still continuing to evolve. It's a really hot topic within the healthcare industry now. So to be able to continue to speak about that is something that I'll do.
Have you ever dealt with people who didn't accept your culture after you won Miss America, and how have you dealt with them?
Totally. I think maybe this person was referring to the entire thing that happened with Twitter. I don't know if any of you followed the news or kind of heard about what happened, but immediately after I won, there was just a lot of negative comments on Twitter and on social media, kind of targeted towards me in the sense of how Miss America should be American and that I wasn't. And for me, it was really shocking. And a similar thing had happened when I won the title of Miss New York on a much smaller scale. When I won, I had people post pictures of themselves on Instagram with themselves in headscarves that I felt was targeted towards me. I had people flat out call me a terrorist. And to me, these remarks were truly intolerable, especially today, because these were educated people who went to college, who knew better. And I really just took that as an opportunity to present myself in the best way that I can, because I've always viewed myself as first and foremost American. Yes, I have my Indian background and roots and culture, and that's important to me, but essentially I'm competing for the job of Miss America. And again, being representative of what is America today. And so when I experienced that similar Twitter backlash, I suppose is what everyone calls it, it was just another opportunity to take that to a national level and really turn the negative into the positive. And one of the best things, I think, the silver lining really that happened was that for every one negative comment, tweet, or post, I received hundreds, and now truly thousands of words of positive encouragement and support and love from all people across the country. Any questions from the audience?
Hi there. I understand you were taking pre-med classes after your time in Michigan, but you were also competing for the title. How did you strike a balance between those two things?
Well, yeah, I actually was. So I did a post-bac program, which is a program that is meant to where you can finish your pre-med requirements and take the MCAT, and it was the best option for me because I decided I wanted to go to medical school later. And so I did that, and I should say that I started actually competing in the Miss America's Outstanding Teen program, which is meant to be a feeder into the Miss America program. And it's a very similar system. And so I was Miss Michigan's Outstanding Teen when I was 16, and I went on to become first runner-up at Miss America's Outstanding Teen. And through that, I won $25,000 in scholarship money. And because of that money and the help of my parents, I was so fortunate enough to graduate debt-free from the University of Michigan. And so, yeah, it was really incredible. And so when I decided that I wanted to go to medical school, I knew that I had to pay for it, and I had no means to really pay for it, to find a way aside from student loans. And I didn't want to walk out of school up to $300,000 in debt. And so I started competing again, and it was just something that, like I said, it was somewhat easy because I'd always been involved in my community, and I'd always been a leader, so it kind of came naturally to me. And I won $10,000 when I won Miss New York, and I won $50,000 when I won Miss America. And through my entire time competing in this organization, I've won a total of $91,000 in scholarship money that I've been able to put towards my education.
Okay, Jenny Lee asked, what were you most involved in during high school?
Oh my goodness, I was one of those like type A overachievers, I'm sorry. But I think I was a cheerleader, I was actually captain of the cheerleading team, I was a varsity tennis player for 4 years, I was in the color guard and marching band, I was in French Club NHS, and I was also taking AP Calc BC. which I was so proud of. But yeah, so I was really so involved in everything, and I think that's what's made my role, or my job in this role, so much better, because I've been able to, since I was so well-rounded, and that's what Miss America is. She's not the most beautiful, she's not the most talented, she's not the most fit, she's all of those things. And that's what's so important, is to be well-rounded in every single aspect of really life, essentially.
Jenny, where are you?
Hi, I'm Andy. Thank you guys. What was the hardest part of winning Miss America, or the hardest part of the competition?
Yeah, I mean, so we're actually in Atlantic City for 10 days, actually more like 2 weeks. And we're in Atlantic City, and we are with 52 other incredible young women. And these are really the best of the best. I mean, every single young woman on that stage could have truly been Miss America. I was truly with 52 other Miss Americas on that stage. And it's just a matter of how the cards fall and that night. And so it's an intense preparation process, because we have 3 nights of preliminaries. We compete in a 10-minute interview with a panel of 7 judges, and they can ask you any question. Is fair game, from your platform to current events to everything. And then we have the talent, swimsuit, evening gown, and onstage question. And so from there, they have the top 15, and then the top 10, and then to even be standing among the 5 and to walk away is so challenging. But really, they don't tell you what comes after you win Miss America, because everyone thinks it's this glamorous job, and it's and you know, I walk around in a crown and an evening gown all day, and that's very much not what happens at all. And so the night I won, I was whisked away to a press conference. I had about 20 minutes with my family and friends, and then I was asked to repack all my belongings into 2 suitcases, and I hit the road the very next day. And so ever since September, I've been traveling constantly, nonstop. I am usually in no city longer than 48 hours, and I'm traveling on average 20,000 miles a month. So it's a very busy, exhausting job, and people don't really understand the work that goes into it. But it's also, like I said, it's only 93 young women have had the opportunity in this world of 8 billion people to call themselves Miss America, so it's also an incredible honor.
All right, someone has asked here, what is your tiara size?
I think it's one size fits all. They just gave it to me the night I won, and they say that every Miss America crown is different, because it's slightly different because every young girl is different. But our crown actually has 4 points, and they stand for the 4 pillars of the Miss America organization, which are service, style, scholarship, and success.
Quick question for you, Nina. Thank you so much for being here. And you're a role model for so many. We're all impressed with your platform. But the question is, you're one of 14,000 that can possibly be there. What advice do you have for these young men and women about what to expect, or what they can do with their lives going forward? Not everybody becomes Miss America, so what advice would you have for them?
Absolutely, and that's the reality of the situation, is that not everyone gets to win this title. And I've always said, be yourself, and how do you want to be remembered? I remember when I was in middle school, there was a young boy who said, Nina Davallori has a bigger mustache than my dad. And yes, it was probably true, and it was still hurtful nonetheless. And to this day, he can become the next CEO, the next senator, president of the United States, and I will forever remember him for that one comment. And so, how do you want to be remembered? What legacy do you want to leave? And the second, like I said, be yourself. And I think it's really hard, especially in today's society, to be yourself. And I can't tell you how many people said to me, Nina, if you're really serious about winning Miss New York or winning Miss America, change your talent, because Bollywood will never win. And I knew that if I was going to win Miss America, it had to be in my terms and in my way. And so to really just stay true to yourself, know who you are, love who you are, and stand up for who you are. Naku Telugu వచ్చు. Thank you. I just said I know Telugu, and I have always, like I said, it was my first language, so I've grown up with it. I speak it to my mom and dad at home. I've kind of been slacking a little, but I enjoy Telugu movies, and I can understand, and 100%.
Hi Nina, I'm Hannah, and I just wanted to ask you, do you usually stay within the country, or have you had the opportunity to travel abroad? And if so, where was your favorite place?
Yeah, I have. I do normally stay in the country, but I did a Canadian tour with one of our wardrobe sponsors, and I also was able to go to London on behalf of them as well. But I was only in London for like 2 days, and I didn't get to see any of it. But yeah, mostly the U.S.
All right. What kind of doctor do you want to be, and how did you get interested in medical science?
It's funny because I felt that med school was expected of me, especially speaking to like how many Indian people. It was just something, it was just something that my parents had always pushed on me. And it was really unfortunate because I felt that I never had a choice. I felt that it was an expectation. And so when I went to college, that was kind of when I had the time to sort of take different courses, really think about what I wanted to do, not what my parents wanted me to do. And going to such a large institution definitely helped in that sense. But what was really my turning point was the service aspect of it. And I had the opportunity to visit an orphanage in India with my grandfather, and sadly he's no longer with us, but I had an experience when this was an orphanage with young children who had physical and mental disabilities. So I think visiting an orphanage in itself in a third world country is difficult in itself, but this was even more so because of that. And we were there passing out food, and a young girl came up to me, couldn't have been more than 4 years old, and she had offered the roll of bread that I had given her that day. And it was just one of those enlightening experiences that you realize that your purpose isn't about you, it's about what you can do for others. And serving in that sense, becoming a physician is one way to definitely be able to do that. And so my turning point really happened my senior year of college, and so that's kind of the track I've been on since then. Okay, sorry. My degree was in brain behavior and cognitive science, which was a mix of psychology and neuroscience. So psychiatry could be on the radar, but I've heard that it changes a million times once you actually enter med school, so we'll see what happens. You guys don't have to clap after everything. Thank you. There's a question. Who has the mic?
Hi, Nina. It's Rohan. My question to you is, how have your parents dealt with all of this? What do they think of this? And how have you been able to stay close with them throughout this whole experience?
Yeah, it's been really challenging. I think even competing in this organization, I think when people hear Miss America, they automatically think swimsuit and plastic surgery, sadly. It's such a stereotype, yeah, it's true. It's such a stereotype that we as title holders battle every day. I can't even tell you. And there's such a huge difference between the Miss America organization and the Miss USA organization, which are very often confused. So no, I've never met Donald Trump. He is not affiliated with Miss America. Yes, thank you. And once you win Miss America, you actually don't go on to compete for anything else. So after this, I'm done, which is good because I don't think I have anything left in me. But, it was difficult for them because of that stigma and because of that swimsuit competition. And I think that's difficult for any Indian parent. But it really came down to the aspect of this is something that gave me a sense of validity that I had never had before. No one in my family did it. It gave me that sense of pride and belonging, and it was something that I was good at. I had always been talented. I'd always been a dancer. I've always been able to communicate effectively. I've been great at interviewing and speaking. So this was something where I was able to share all my talents that I've been so gifted with. and in a different avenue that no Indian, or really, there's not a lot of diversity in the organization itself. And so to finally change that image and to have this year to reach out to many multicultural groups was what meant the most to me. And I think just sharing Bollywood for the first time on the Miss America stage was my moment, and winning Miss America was just icing on the cake. And so while it was difficult for them, and they finally have now understood the magnitude of this title and what it means and what it can bring for the future as well.
Oh my god. Hi, it's Siley. So I was wondering, how much free time do you get and what do you do with it? Also, what's your favorite food?
Okay. My favorite food is Mexican. I love cheese enchiladas with rice and beans. But I have a huge sweet tooth as well. And I really don't get a lot of free time. I do every now and then, but usually what ends up happening is that my free time ends up turning into a travel day. So between events, then we have a travel day, and then it's the next event. So if I do have a free second, I was actually in DC a couple days ago. I went and took a yoga class, and staying in shape while you're traveling is probably the most challenging part that I've realized. So any chance I have to just take a second and breathe and work out really helps me. But oh yeah, and then with FaceTime and GChat and oh my god, the list goes on, Skype, it's so easy to stay in touch with people. But I've mainly confined that to my friends, to my family more than anyone.
Someone wants to know, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is pink. I know, but it is.
Are there any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, he's nice. Yeah, just got here. Him.
Hi, I'm Sunit.
Hi.
I know there's a lot of people here that are dying to ask this question, so I'll ask on their behalf.
Oh goodness.
You have a boyfriend?
I knew that was coming. And yes, I do, but I will tell a story about this, is that I've been dating a gentleman, sorry, dude, guy, whatever, for a couple years now, and I actually didn't tell my parents until about right before I competed for Miss New York, 6 months ago. And I think, so my parents had an arranged marriage, and I think the idea and concept of dating is difficult for any parent, but especially more so for mine because they didn't necessarily understand it and go through it themselves. And so when I approached them, it was probably one of the hardest things I ever did, because I respect my parents so much, and ultimately I know they want what's best for me, but I really presented it in the sense that I would really like for them to get to know this person that I've been seeing. And so I told them on my birthday, because no one can get mad at you on your birthday. And so it was probably one of the most awkward birthday dinners I've ever been to, but we all went out to dinner, and I'm just so thankful that they have been so accepting, and they themselves have assimilated with the American culture, because assimilation really has to happen from both sides. And to really establish that line of communication with my parents, it has really made us so much closer. I can't even tell you that. And I'm so glad that I started the conversation, because I don't think it's something that they would have ever done. And so even throughout this year, it's been a growing process. So yes, I do, but it's worked out well so far.
All right, well first, someone wanted to know, what's your favorite shape of pasta?
I like penne. No, it's just easier to get the sauce.
Hi, I'm Sanika, and I just wanted to ask, with your platform, where is your vision or best case scenario of where it ends?
Well, let me start over. It's been an ongoing process, and what I've been able to do from the beginning to even now, the changes I've made, or the programs that I've started in itself have really been amazing. And I started my own program through the YWCA, and their mission is eliminating racism, empowering women. And so my program, Calling All Cultures, really went hand in hand with that, as well as the Miss America organization. So now that program that I started in one town has spread to 3 different states. And I hope to have that in all 50 states, or all 50 states throughout my year as Miss America. But again, having days like today that you guys did today is really the first step in all of it. So continuing to send that message.
Hey, Lily, down here. Down here. We haven't had it.
Yeah, on the first row. Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil Patel. Shout out to my Gujas out there. I wanted to know, when and where were you when you first wanted to know you wanted to compete in the Miss America competition?
Oh my goodness. I just remember, I don't remember necessarily the moment. It had been something that I've always grown up watching. But I remember when I was speaking with my sister a couple years ago, she said, why do you even want to do this? What's in this organization for you? What do you get out of it? And I said, Mina. My sister's name's Mina. Mina. My parents thought it was cute. I never regret it now. But I said to her, I truly believe that in 5 years, that Miss America will crown someone who's ethnic, and I know that it can be me, because I knew I could very well do the job. It was just a matter of marketing myself and packaging myself with a nice little ribbon on top and selling it to those judges. So that was kind of the moment, my turning point, I suppose, in working towards that.
Hi, I'm Nitya, and I was wondering, how has dance affected your life and influenced your platform?
Oh my gosh, it's been everything, and I think that one of the most exciting things dance-wise that I've been able to do was I joined a fusion dance team at Michigan, and it was called Maya, and we did like Bharatanatyam and Kathak and Kuchipudi with modern music, and it was really incredible. It really pushed my limits as a dancer. We'd all been classically trained, and we did a show and performance every year, and so there was, like I said, there was no other talent that I was going to do, but it was really challenging because I love Bollywood, and Bollywood is so fun to perform, and it's a real audience pleaser. But I have to say I almost felt like a sellout doing it because I had been so classically trained, and at the end of the day, it was just more marketable to perform it as Miss America because now with So You Think You Can Dance becoming so much more popular and Bollywood really being more mainstream now in America, it just made sense to go that route. But it's incredible, and I get so nostalgic, seeing you guys out here because it's so fun. There's so many back there. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Hi Nina, I'm Naveda, and I wanted to ask you, how has your culture and upbringing helped you develop your self-confidence throughout your journey, and what's your favorite Bollywood movie?
My favorite Bollywood movie is totally Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. I think more than anything, my culture has helped me in terms of the values and morals that I have. And I think that's why Miss America is so relevant today, because our country really doesn't have a lot of good, wholesome role models. And I think that we've swung so far to one side of the pendulum that people are hungry, people are ready for it to swing back and to have that attainable person who's educated, smart, talented, beautiful, to reach out to the youth in this country. And I think that's really what my parents have instilled in me, and that's the message I'll be promoting this year as well.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I was wondering, I know there's this typical notion of people watching these competitions and struggling with their self-image because of this. How do you think the Miss America competition kind of defies this stereotype, and what advice do you have for girls struggling with their body image?
That's something I've struggled with my entire life. And unfortunately, as women, we are so exposed to it constantly by media and by these unideal standards. And what the Miss America organization really promotes with the swimsuit competition is a healthy lifestyle. And I myself am living testament to that because I struggled with an eating disorder throughout college. And it was really difficult for me from even a cultural standpoint because it was something that my parents really had a hard time understanding. And that's not to say that eating disorders don't exist in India, because they certainly do. But I think mental health has a stigma surrounding it that I certainly hope dissipates. And so when I approached them, my dad was a little more understanding because he was a physician, but my mom to this day will ask me why I've spoken out about it or why I'm doing this. And when I have young women, young girls come up to me who've just said, thank you for speaking about this and telling your story because I've struggled with the same thing. And really learning how is why I'm sharing my story. And so through this entire journey, I've lost about 60 pounds, and it was the only way that you can do it, through a healthy lifestyle, diet and exercise. And it's still a constant battle, it's still a constant struggle. But you know, that's how the cards fell for me. And so just promoting that message of eating right and exercising is what I think is why we have the swimsuit competition.
Hey Jenny, can you back up with the mic? We can hear you over here.
Hi, my name is Neha. What would happen and how would you feel if you lost everything you just had?
You know, I'm a firm believer in that everything happens for a reason. And I can't tell you, even this experience, I've woken up some days and I've just thought to myself, why did this happen to me? Am I deserving of it? Because it is an incredible honor, and it is such a, I mean, that's that whole Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. And so I would just be gracious and thankful enough to even have been given a chance. And just accept that everything happens for a reason, and regardless of what happens, life goes on. So you just have to pick up where you left off.
Okay, we'll take one more question.
Hi, I'm Vishal. I just have a quick question. Do you think you can like tutor me in Calc BC or something?
Well, it was like 6 years ago, so I don't know how good I would be, but I can try.
Does your sister have a girlfriend?
Does my sister have a girlfriend?